Hi there. People back home call me Maeve. I had a pretty average childhood growing up. My family were hydroponics technicians and what you might call a farmer. We lived in a mining colony about as far out of the way as you could get. My siblings and I ended up eating a lot of failed experiments. Have you ever had a banana grown from a cabbage plant? No? You're welcome. You won't believe some of the crazy things that have happened since I left to get my pilot's license. My neighborhood pulled together enough funds so that I could go to flight school. They wanted one of their own working the haulers. We were tired of getting ripped off by the scummy middlemen. Sorry for my language. But what I realized was the problem was a lot bigger than just the pilot's tariffs. We'll get to that soon. I have never been out of our sector of the base, let alone to another star system. So as I boarded the passenger ship, I am just a bit nervous. I'm jostled by people shoving past in a frantic scramble to stake their claim to part of the cabin. Every seat I head towards, someone gets there first. I dodge over bags and around people to finally find an open seat. We are headed to the bubble. The place I've only seen through entertainment feeds. Excited doesn't even capture how I'm feeling right now. I could literally be sitting on the cold, hard metal floor for all I care. It's finally happening. As I try not to elbow my fellow travelers, I start looking around the economy cabin. I absolutely love people watching. It's a bit of a hobby. Across from me is a family that has everything but the kitchen sink with them. There's just as many chickens as children running between the parents' feet. Maeve, a voice startles me and I jump just a bit. Laughing a bit nervously, I turn to see a familiar face. One of my uncle's welding friends. I think I've seen him a time or two when we needed something fixed around the farm. Jax? Why are you here? I mean, what takes you on this long journey? Quit being so rude, Maeve. Think before you open your mouth. I blush and look down at my feet, wishing I could just disappear. Jax plunks down beside me in my field of view. I can just see the corner of his pants with little burns and grease that hasn't been able to be cleaned out. I look up and try and find a spot across the cabin to look at. The sounds of so many people in such a small space comforting. "Hen, you heard? There are contracts out to work dozens of stations. That's where I'm headed." He has a gravelly voice that sounds like rocks rattling around the cargo bay. "I hear they need welders and, well..." He shrugs, putting his thick grav boots up on the banged-up luggage crate he had just dropped. For a bit, we just sit there, cramped in the cheap composite seats, jostled around by the transport jumping over and over again to new stars I've never been to before. The cabin hot and sweaty, steam seems to be radiating off the walls, and then it'll go cold as a freezer. "You can always tell how bad a pilot is by how many heat sinks they go through," mutters a woman to my right. I perk up at the word pilot. Anything I can learn to help me with my upcoming test. Heat sinks? "Can't you feel the temperature jackknife around?" she says while reading a hollow tabloid. "That's a lazy pilot getting too close to the star so they can refuel faster. A good pilot would consider their passengers before roasting and dumping." "You don't know what you're talking about, Karen." An older man leans around, extending his hand to me to shake. "The pilot is probably dealing with second-rate components. He could just let heat go down naturally, but is kind enough to be spending valuable resources on heat sinks." "How do you know that?" I ask, curious, only remembering the technical description of heat sinks and I think their use in ship management system. He smiles faintly. "I used to be a pilot." Then his face falls. "But that was a long time ago." "I'm headed to flight school," I say, trying to temper my excitement a bit. He nods. "You'll do great, kid. Just trust your ship. It'll tell you more than any instructor can. Take care of her and she'll keep you alive.
Is that what you did when you rammed into the asteroid half lit on shine?
I'm guessing the woman is his wife. The two break out into an argument that they've probably had a million times. I sigh, leaning back in my seat. This is why I need to go to school. Anyone who knows how to fly leaves our little mining colony in the dust, never to be seen again. All that's left are those too poor to afford the rebuy if they lose their ship. Settling in for the ride ahead, I dream of returning home in a large transport, ready to bring honor and wealth and opportunity to my family, the neighborhood, and the whole station. I must have drifted off because I was woken up to something jabbing me in my side. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Lady in Red. Catch us live on Twitch to see how this story unfolds and to have a hand in the direction Maeve takes.